Brad, you said for some time that every advisor should examine their books of business, really do a deep dive into the data. Why?
Um, well, number one, it will be eye-opening, I think, in terms of looking at the data and seeing from the views of record keepers, because they're looking at this same data and they're looking at it and saying, okay, how can we monetize that participant? That's what record keepers are doing today. They're doing it as a result of fee compression, and they're now basically getting into the advisory business at the participant level. And they've done the math. They can see how much money they're making today on record keeping, but then they know if they can get that participant as a private wealth client down the road, whether that's the rollover at retirement time, or whether that is the potential for non-qualified assets to come over earlier in that. If you look at the major record keepers that are doing it, um, they've kind of hit a home run, and this is helping with fee compression. Now, I will not argue a bit that the service that they are providing is necessary for the American worker. Somebody has to do that. And it's either going to be the record keeper, and if the 401k advisor elects not to do it, then don't come crying later on and said the big bad record keeper is taking my spot, because we have a decision to make. If we're not going to do it as advisors, um, the record keepers are going to do it. All the big ones are going to do it. They're doing it today. Fidelity's doing it. Empower's doing it. Schwab's doing it. Some of them are more sensitive to advisors who want to do it. Some of them are not a bit sensitive to advisors that want to do it. So it's a decision we as advisors need to realize is happening today. It is a desperate service that participants, employees of plan sponsors, they need this service. It's just who's going to deliver it. And with that, you need to determine, you need to look at your own data and say, how many participants do we have? What kind of uh, revenue per participant do you currently bring in? And then say, if I'm going to get into private wealth, how is that going to change it? And then
So at
what do
this
I have
point,
to do to get into private wealth?
and that's what I was going to ask next. Exactly, what do they have to do to get into private wealth? How did you make it so successful?
We've spent the last 6 years doing two things. Number one, putting a team together. We knew we wanted to get into private wealth. We'd seen the data, and we knew that there was a need, and I had clients ask us to get into private wealth because they were concerned that I had a client flat out tell me that we did a great job of getting their employees to retirement, but then we abandoned them.
Okay.
And the fee or commission based brokers would come along and basically undo 25 years of our work getting
Wow.
them to retirement by putting them in some sort of index annuity that had a really really cool looking brochure that kind of hypnotized the participant, and but they didn't go through the 350 basis points of excess cost and contingent surrender charges. So it's a problem there today. So if you're going to do this, you've got to look at people smarts plus great technology. These people, you can have technology out there. We've spent a lot of time and money putting a number of different pieces of technology together, but you've got to have the underlying people to service those people. And your 401k advisors don't have the time to deliver a grade service to both the plan level and to do financial planning, for example. You're going to have to, if you get in this business, you're going to have to get CFPs. Either you're going to have to partner with them, or you're going to have to get them on your staff. We elected to go the latter. We wanted those people on our team so we could deliver them as part of our retirement readiness team. We used to call it our own personal worksite financial wellness program. We don't call it that anymore. We're calling it our own worksite financial planning platform. And in order to do that, you've got to have CFPs. I didn't have a single CFP 5 years ago. I have 10 today. And if you ask me, what's the outlook going forward in the next 3 to 5 years, I'll have 25 to 30. Because I just foresee financial planning becoming an employee benefit. And I've got clients that are already treating it like an employee benefit. I've got clients that are paying 100% of our fees for financial planning. I've got clients that are paying 60% of our fees. I have clients that want to make it kind of a subscription. But at the end of the day, you've got to be flexible, but you've got to have the resources from a people standpoint. And so we have, which costs money. But then you've got to put in their hands a way to make money off of the mass affluent. Do we want to provide financial planning services for the owners, what I call the 1% of Americans that are the top earners? Sure, we want to do that. And they're the people that actually hire us, the CEOs, the CFOs, upper management. But there's a flock of people in the wealth management industry that are working with those people. Quite frankly, it's a crowded space. But many of those people in wealth management today, they're just stepping over the typical American, the American worker. And so you've got to put together a team, but with technology, to be able to service that profitably. And if you do it, you can be profitable. We're a testament to it. I can tell you we make money from a wealth management standpoint working with smaller account balances. But, and what do I mean by smaller account balances? If you looked at Intellisense today, we have over $1 billion in private wealth, and our average account is under $400,000.
Okay.
And so that would be, the American worker. And are we making money off of that? Yes, we are making money off of that. In fact, it's more profitable than our 401k advisory services. It's more profitable than our group insurance services. It's
that's what I was going to ask. I mean, is this at this point the way that the business is headed? Is there ever going to be a pure play 401k advisor, do you think, at this point? Is it inevitable that wealth management and the 401k space are going to converge from an advisory standpoint?
It's going to be real tough to not have some sort of solution for it, either bringing it in-house like we did or partnering with a wealth management firm that is willing to work with the 99%, because some of them have minimums of 7 figures before they'll work with them. It's going to be very difficult. If you look at all the major aggregators, whether that's Cap Trust, Hub, One Digital, they're all working on this issue. They're all converging retirement with wealth. And some of them are even, like we are, bringing in the group insurance. And look at One Digital. I mean, they've got more group insurance clients than they have 401k clients, and they got a boatload of 401k clients. Same with Hub there. So I think that that advisor that is single disciplined is going to have a tough time in a competitive environment in all size plans if they do not have a solution to the convergence of at least retirement and wealth. I'm not saying that would it benefit you to also have a solution from a group insurance standpoint? Sure it would, because believe me, there's going to be relationship pricing out there. Hub's going to do that. One Digital is going to do it. It's going to be like the cable company. In the beginning, we got one service from the cable company, and by the time they were done, we had 3 services with them. They were doing our internet, they were doing our phone, and they gave us volume discounts. That is what the aggregators are going to be able to do. And there's nothing wrong with giving. It's not a prohibited transaction to give volume discounts because you've got a larger relationship there, and you've got to have the capability to do that in order to compete from a pricing standpoint and then from a service standpoint. So it'll be tough, John. It will.
So, speaking of capabilities, you just recently released something that was pretty groundbreaking within the industry. Can you give us just a quick overview of that?
Well, it gets back to how are we going to service these people without having data? And we sat back and kind of scratched our heads and said, okay, how can we um, get the same kind of data that a record keeper has? And we said, we've got to create an app. And that app um, allows us to take a download of data from HR of name, birth date, and wage. And that's the beginning. And then we load it into our app. We actually make that app available through the plan sponsor as part of our worksite financial planning services. And the first thing that happens with that is when we're rolling it out to the participant sees a personalized video that says, here's what a budget should look like for you. Then it'll say, here's a range of what your maximum debt load should be. Here's a range of how much money you should have in an emergency savings program. Here's how much life insurance you have through your employer, which is generally one-time salary for most Americans. Here's how much you really need, a range of life insurance that you need. And then it will give you an idea based on your age and your wage as to how much you should have today in your retirement program in order to be on track to having enough money tomorrow when you get to your normal retirement age. And it'll be personalized for every participant. We call it a foundational financial plan there. And the goal is to give them an idea of what those 5 things should look like for them. And quite frankly, it'll probably kind of be disruptive for that typical American because they'll sit back and they'll say, I don't have anywhere near that. The average American has $400 in savings. I mean, that's barely enough to get a new dishwasher. I mean, they need roughly 3 to 6 months worth of their pay in accessible for emergencies, for pandemics, for uh, people, a spouse not able to go to work for a period of time, and you're a 2-income earning family, and so it's supposed to give them an idea. And if they add additional data, because it gives them the ability to go and add their own personal data about that other 401k plan that they left with a prior employer or their spouse's retirement plan. It can add the non-qualified assets in there, and it just gets smarter then. The system just gets smarter. And then if they feel that they still need an ear or somebody that can help them create a more holistic financial plan, boom, up will pop the Intellisense CFP that is serving that employer's case, and then they can hire us, or for some of our clients, the employer's paying for it. I mean, I've got a 4,000 life group where the employer's, in essence, saying any employee can get a holistic financial plan from Intellisense.
So, where can they find the app, and how is it available?
The app is on both app stores. You can go out, and it's really only available through your employer. This app is built to put the 401k advisor at the center of solving this problem.
And what's it called?
It, it's actually an app that you can buy from eMoney. We worked with eMoney think of us, there was a group of 401k advisors that they called together, and we were the architects of it. And eMoney was the engineer that built it. And so it's out there. We call our own version. We private labeled it. So it's the Intellisense Life Steps app in the App Store. But if you want to know where to go get it, call eMoney up. And they're a leading provider of financial planning software. And so they can do not only this foundational financial plan for you, but then they can also be your solution for the holistic financial plan.
Understood. Brad Arends, that's exactly what we needed. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Do appreciate it.
I appreciate the interest, John. Thank you very much.